my way to breakfast, and then ran another motorcycle for a couple days from a expat friend I met and played pool with last night. So I haven't really eaten Western food since I've been here, but this morning I just feel like a Western breakfast. So I'm going to a place called Emily's. So I hear it's good. I'll see. For a good Western breakfast, come to Emily's Kitchen. It's a little bit more money, but this morning I just wanted something maybe a little bit more normal, but yeah, so it's good. I recommend it. Plus the artwork on the wall is just cool. Love that stuff. See ya. Today I'm sitting down with my new friend Mark Boris, and he has lived here for 6 years?
6.5 years.
6.5 years. He has a business here in Vung Tau called Expat Motorbike Rental. So if you're in Vung Tau, you want to come see him. He'll give you a great deal, and he's been amazing. Honestly, I reached out on a Facebook group when I was coming. I just, hey, that's an avenue I want to connect with people. I like to connect with people. Mark reached out on a question that I had asked, and then we ended up hooking up and playing some pool. I got whooped real bad 2 nights in a row, but he's been a great guy. So thank you so much, Mark.
When I came down here from Saigon, I saw a need in this area for an English-speaking motorbike rental business.
Yeah.
And that was in, I'd say the fall of 2020. My plan was to maybe just teach English here, like a lot of expats do when they first come to Vietnam. So
yeah,
the teaching thing came in. I happen to have the credentials, but before all that got going, the motorbike thing fell into place. It's really hard to get a normal job in Vietnam, as you know.
Yeah.
And so
I've heard, and I'm assuming this is true. It sounds right that like if I rented a bike from somebody and I got into an accident, it really wouldn't matter whose fault it would be. It would be my fault, right?
The foreigner, even though if you had a proper driver's license, you had insurance, the bike was registered in your name, all those things. And even though they had cameras and everything showing that she was at fault, he was a foreigner, and they asked him if they could settle it out. Never did talk to him directly about the final details of it. But that's part of living in a foreign country, especially in Vietnam, where you're dealing with a so-called socialistic republic or communist country. I find it's not really communist in a traditional sense.
Yeah, talk about that a little bit, just from the perspective, because I know I've had people ask me, even since I've been here, like, what's it like being in a communist country? And I think I heard this from another YouTube. I've just watched a million videos in preparation to be here. And I think he said it this way: if he was dropped into the country and he didn't know where he was, he wouldn't know it was a communist country.
And that's pretty much true. I mean, we were basically brainwashed when we were in grade school and junior high school and high school about how bad communism was. And don't get me wrong, I love being an American.
Sure. Yeah, me too.
There are some serious advantages for living in this country that are really noticeable compared to what is in the United States. And when you first get here, the first thing you notice is how nice the people are. And
they're amazing.
There's no animosity to us being an American. And a lot of it's got to do with the fact that most of the older Vietnamese that were in the so-called American wars, they call it here, are so old, they're passed away or whatever. They're well in their 70s. And the younger generation doesn't really have a clue because it's so far removed.
Yeah.
And so it's so much easier. That being the first noticeable thing here. And then, of course, the way the police state is run here, you would think it would be like in the movies, they show, the communist police knocking on your doors and, like the Nazis used to do back in World War II. And it's not the case at all. There's actually more freedoms here than there is in the United States. Now, do you have freedom of speech where you can criticize the government and other officials? I'd say no. You probably get away with it for a while, but you'll end up probably getting deported if you're doing that. And if you say the wrong things, and of course you can end up in prison too. But I have never heard of a case of that at all in the 6.5 years I've been here. So stay away from political conversations in coffee shops, because you never know who's in there, and they can overhear you.
Well, honestly,
that was advice that I was just told, so and I would say that to anybody. Getting here was fairly simple, using YouTube like you did. I watched a lot of videos, and there was a guy named Rike who had a channel called Life Beyond the Sea, and his thing was really the Philippines, but he said he wanted to come over here for a little while first. And he got here about 3 months before I did. And we were friends basically, through the social media platform. But when I got here, we met, and then everything that he talked about in his YouTube channel about Vietnam and how to get in, this and that, was just perfect. And if you watch multiple YouTubers, you can get a good sense for how to handle the country when you first get here.
Yeah.
From landing in the airport to catching a bus to down District 1, and also getting hotels and all that stuff. And that guidance is like, don't jump into a lease for 6 months until you've stayed someplace for a couple of weeks first, all that stuff. But if you really want to focus on Saigon as being your base, my suggestion would be is to hop on the city buses.
Yeah.
And there's a whole network of buses that basically go around the whole city in different lines and different places, and they're so cheap. They're only 6,000 dong, which is like 25 cents,
right?
I think, somewhere right around there. And you're up above all the crowd. It's air conditioned, and you can get on the bus. You'll see the little stops around the city. You get on and just ride around on that certain line, and then you can see where everything is. You can make notes or whatever. Plus, you get to meet the Vietnamese, because there's hardly any foreigners that ever ride these buses. And so I did that for 6 months when I first got here. My plan was I get up at 6:37, do my little gym workout or walk or whatever, and then hop on the bus, find some long distance mall some way at the end of the line or whatever, and then go for breakfast in the mall, walk around the mall, and then come back home. 1, 2 o'clock, take my afternoon siesta, and then get ready for the nighttime. And it's a perfect way to get to really know the city on, one, it's economical, and two, it's a great way just to sit back. Because if you're on a motorbike on the back, even as a passenger, you're watching what the driver's doing, so you can't really focus on what's around you, as you know, as you've seen even driving around here. And there's an app called Bus App, which is run by a company that not only does Saigon or Ho Chi Minh City, but also does Hanoi. And it's free, and it's GPS based, so you don't have to have Wi-Fi to use it. And
awesome.
If you're in the city anywhere and you want to know where you're at, all you gotta do is just pull up the bus app, and just like on Google Maps, you get your little blue dot of you, and it tells you where you're at, and it's free. If you're coming over here to retire, you're trying to keep things on the low
cheap.
end.
I'm cheap.
And if you're just coming over on vacation, you want to try Vietnam, that's fine. But most of us that are looking at Vietnam are looking at it for the low income and the low cost of living.
Yeah.
And this country, Cambodia, Thailand, Laos, Malaysia, Indonesia, are all those countries that are up there in low cost of living. So with Vietnam being one of the cheapest.
That's how I began to do a search on cheap places to live in the world on a beach. And I ended up in Thailand last October, spent 3 weeks there, absolutely loved it. The country has been amazing. The people are amazing. I don't know how many times I've said that on my videos already, like 50 times.
Almost every YouTuber does talk about how beautiful it is here and all that. So you're not the only one. The continued growth that the country is going to be having in the next 10, 20 years.
Yes.
So it is one of the countries that has the highest projected GDP growth, moving forward.
Yeah.
Especially here in Southeast Asia or in the Asian countries as well. And so if you want to come over here and maybe start a business the proper way, all that other stuff, and invest in the country, you can. You know, they'll let you do that and start up a business, and you can get long-term visas and investor visas, besides getting married and having a spousal visa, which is what most people end up doing when they marry a Vietnamese and stay here. So you picked a good country, you know.
Yeah,
so,
thank you.
I appreciate your kindness and your thoughts. It's something that us expats, not just here in Vietnam but around the world, really need to embrace. A big homogenous group of expats living here, and they like it because of the low cost of living.
Yeah, absolutely.
One thing they do talk about a lot is the high cost of living in all of their countries, not just in the United States,
Right.
but Australia and Europe and Canada and all the other major countries around the world is just so expensive now, and I don't see it getting any better moving forward.
Yeah.
If you're in the United States right now and you're watching this, I would highly consider moving out of the country and finding a nice expat community in some country, Mexico, South America, Southeast Asia, Europe, things of that nature that would give you a much better quality of life. And it would have been really hard for me to maintain a decent lifestyle in Virginia Beach with the cost of living in that area. It's just so much cheaper. $400 for a house. My utilities are another $100 a month, and I have a maid that comes in once a week and cleans the house.
Nice.
And you would never get that back in the States.
So you said your house is 400?
My $400 US.
And is it how many bedrooms?
2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. You can get a bigger house for the same price. The reason I chose this house was because of location for my
With your
bike
motorbikes.
rentals.
Yeah.
It's in a high traffic tourist area where a lot of foreigners live, and it's easily accessible by all the foreigners that rent down here, and they know where I'm at.
I'm sorry, did you just say $4 for an oil change?
$4 for an oil change on a bike.
Yeah.
And when you have as many bikes as I do, it kind of adds up.
Sure.
So I try and keep it on the cheap side. I don't want to get my hands all dirty. And stuff.
Well, I don't blame you.
When labor is so cheap, but I'm very mechanical. I don't mind doing it. But if you come here, you can hire people to do just about everything you need to do.
Well, and you're investing in the culture and the economy, and it's just good all the way around.
And that's what we're supposed to do as expats. We have to contribute to the economy somehow.
Yeah, I have really been this morning I ate at Emily's, which felt more like a more of American kind of breakfast, but as a whole, I have just tried to pinpoint small local businesses. I don't want to ever go to a Starbucks again.
No, they have a Highlands coffee, which is the equivalent of Starbucks.
I don't even think I want to go there.
And you're right next door to my house. They built a really nice rustic type coffee shop, and it's way cheaper than the Starbucks or Highlands coffee is.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I don't drink coffee, so.
Wow, in this culture, not drinking coffee.
It's tough. Number 2 exporter of coffee in the world.
Yeah.
And so they just love sitting outside and drinking coffee throughout the day.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. Socially wise, it's so open here. People sit outside their houses and they talk to their neighbors, and everybody goes outside. And the streets and the parks are just packed with people, and there's no fear of crime. And there might be an accident, a bike accident or a car accident, but you can walk around not worried about getting mugged or shot or anything like that. And that's really a big factor for a lot of people.
It's so crazy. You said earlier about how we've been brainwashed, about so many things. And the world is a beautiful place. And there's so many great countries and people. I love Thailand too. The Thai people were amazing. Vietnamese people are maybe more amazing. I don't, it's just all very, very good. And there's some very good Americans too, but there is a sense of frustration, anger, anxiety, all those emotions in Americans now, and division.
And division was going to be what I was going to add.
Yeah, that spurs all that, and you can feel it. And here you don't have that.
You don't feel that at all.
No.
They've got a one-party system, and they've embraced capitalism since 1986 when they instituted the reforms to allow people to start owning businesses and everything like that. And then it's just taken off, and that's why they've had the success that they've had. If our dollar does really well over here compared to other nations, and it's because Vietnam's number one trading partner is the United States. And now with the lifting of the tariffs or lowering of the tariffs, there's going to be a lot of shipments of Vietnamese goods going back to the States. And there are opportunities here then for foreign investors, which the country is open to. They want foreign investment because they can see that's going to be the future for the country.
Yeah.
And that's why big companies like Apple and the chip makers and stuff like that are coming over here instead of China.
Yeah, I saw that they're kind of, I don't know, overtaking China. That would probably be a little much, but they're definitely putting a dent in the manufacturing. Is huge now here in Vietnam. I know North Face is manufactured here. I bought a backpack the other day. Cost me $40 at home. Cost me $11.50 here.
And it's probably the exact same backpack that's being sold in the United States.
Yeah.
And if you get a product in the United States and it says made in Vietnam on it, okay, the factory that made that product is making the same products they sell here. They have a contract with the country, with the company to make that product. And you think that they're not going to do it, run off another 250,000 copies of that same thing, and then they'll turn around and sell it here. And so you're not getting cheap quality stuff here like you would think you buy a pair of Nikes here, for example, and you pay $150 for them in the United States. Over here you pay $30, $35 for them. It's the exact same shoe.
I bought a pair when I was in Thailand, $30.
Yeah. And I happen to know that for a fact because an American guy I know works for a huge company here that does shoe manufacturing with plants all around northern Vietnam. Cell phones, there's no such thing as a contract cell phone over here. You just buy the phone and then buy a SIM card at one of the carriers, and you just pay monthly for it. I pay mine every 6 months, and I don't spend more than $45 for the whole 6 months for basically unlimited data.
Everything is just cheaper here.
My Wi-Fi that I have for the house, it's run through Viettel, where you got your SIM card from, and I pay, let me see, about $90, $95 for the year for my Wi-Fi for my house.
Yeah,
and it's fast. And it's great. And
so let me ask you, Mark, any downsides to living here?
Well, the main one is the language, of course. We're going to run into a lot of situations every day where you're going to have a hard time communicating what you need, what you're looking for. Just simple hand gestures like eating or listening or calling, just stuff like that. You kind of build up a little repertoire of sign language to be able to communicate with it. It helps to learn a few basic words and phrases to show to the local population that you're trying to assimilate into the culture. Good morning, thank you, all that kind of stuff, good night. It hasn't bothered me at all. The other negative things, and besides the language, is, of course, the traffic is just insane because we're so used to really restricted traffic laws and stuff like that. Certain things are just prohibited, and if you get caught doing them, it's going to be costly.
Yeah.
Whereas here, it's just like, oh well. temperament-wise, you just can't get mad. They take a lot of offense if you start going somewhere and you're yelling, and
Yeah.
in the States, if you're in a store and you're not getting the kind of service, your ire is up and you start yelling and all that. That doesn't work here. You just have to accept certain things that happen to you. It's just the way it goes. You can't get frustrated with it.
Yeah.
So, beeping of the horns, trying to cross in traffic right away, all of those things all piled into the driving part of it. That's a little difficult.
You know how I kind of view traffic and also just crowds of people are like it, and I found, at least the way my brain thinks, is that it just feels like water. Mm-hmm. It's just like everybody just kind of flows, and even in a group of people as you're walking, it just kind of, people aren't pushy. And back to the language thing, I've learned a little bit of Vietnamese, Mo Chut, but I find the same thing. People they love it when you are just trying, and very patient with you. And
if you're seriously thinking about moving here and staying here for a long term, I would highly recommend that you take some Vietnamese classes online. Put in at least an hour a day, because the practice is what's going to get you, because it's just one of the hardest languages to learn.
Yeah.
Period. And if you look at the words, you can sometimes kind of figure out if that's an English word. Maybe I can do something with it. But compared to Cambodia, where you look at their Khmer language up on the boards and stuff, there's nothing up there that tells you even what's close.
like Thai is the same way.
Yeah, what's close to being English. And it's not too bad, because I think the Vietnamese is based on a little bit of Latin, I think. That leads us to another thing about dating. Just like most Asian countries, the acceptance for the age gap dating differences is a little bit more well received here. Vietnam's culture is a little bit more conservative than the Philippines as far as dating is concerned. You got more family involvement in it. The parents have to give their sign off and all that other stuff on it, especially if there's a big difference in age. And even then, if there wasn't that much of a difference, there's still an acceptance by the family,
sure,
mom and dad, and all that. Luckily, my girlfriend's mom and family loves me to death, and they're the ones pushing for the relationship. So the dating thing is just make sure that when you come over here as a foreigner, don't walk around in an old beat up pair of shorts and t-shirts and sandals and let your hair get all long and unshaved and all that, because you are representing your home country, or the Westerner in general, and you don't want to look like a beggar in a foreign country.
Sure.
And that just gives all of us a bad name when people do that.
Yeah, no woman wants a bum.
Well, and if you look like that, then you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
Awesome. You don't have to walk around with big jewelry and big watches or anything like that. Just have a nice collared shirt on, like we wear, and shorts and all that. Now around the house, different story, but and look presentable. And so it's fine. And if you speak English and the girls see that and they look at you and they give you a good look, and then they come back and look again and make an eye contact. And that's the sign. If they make eye contact with you a couple of times and they maybe give you that little smile, and don't hesitate to go and say hello. And if they don't speak English, you go, break out the translator and say, "Can I get your Zello or your WhatsApp?" And they'll give it to you 99% of the time. Approaching women is a lot easier here than it is in the United States.
Yeah.
Much easier. Just wait till you get here, boots on the ground. Don't commit to any kind of major financial purchases till after about a year. Don't go buying motorbikes for them or buying a house right away, wanting to get married right away. Give yourself a good year in country before you really start making those commitments.
Yeah.
Segueing into medical then, where if you don't have a universal worldwide medical program, health program, insurance program, then you can't come over here and pay for everything with cash
Just out of pocket as it comes up.
and out of pocket as it comes up, but be prepared to have at least $10,000 put aside for any kind of major medical that comes up. Hospital stays are relatively cheap here. Doctors, depends what hospital you go to. So there are some insurance companies that you can get here. It's tough to get insurance if you're a health insurance program if you're over 60 here, and so it's best just to have a little bit of cash set aside. I've known people that have broken their elbow, were in the hospital for like 4 or 5 days, and ended up getting like a $500-600 bill when they walked out of the hospital. So medications, everything can be bought over the counter except for opioids, the codeines and the morphines and things like that. You have to have a prescription for it. But if you have prescriptions, just bring your current pills with you and everything, and they'll either have it in the true brand sense or in a generic version. In Vietnam, unless you have some real specialty meds that you might want to stock up on before you get here.
Yeah.
And go from there. There is a nursing home. There's 2 nursing homes here in Vung Tau. Those types of things aren't really talked too much on social media. People don't know too well. They're run by private organizations, and the cost of one is about $1,200 a month, and that includes Vietnamese food, but doesn't include major medical at a hospital. They do have doctors that come in and do checks and stuff like that. So if you get to the point where you need to go into a nursing home and you don't want to go back in the States and live in a Medicare facility, which those things suck, by the way, you can put yourself in one of those. And if you have enough Social Security money coming in, or if you have enough of a retirement, and they'll just take the payments every month from you and set it up that way, like they do in the States.
Yeah.
If you do get sick and you have some kind of chronic disease that's going to continue to diminish your physical capabilities, it's best to just go ahead and go back home, at that point in time. If you've got Parkinson's disease or Alzheimer's or anything of that nature, and or you have a chronic heart condition or something like that, unless you have a partner, a wife that's willing to take care of you if you're bedridden, it's best just to go ahead and go back home. If you're over here and you have no money, and you're sick, you're going to basically end up out in the street, and your embassy is not going to bend over backwards to take care of you. Keep your home bank account active and functional. Make sure you write down all your account numbers, and if you're online with them, online banking, all your passwords and all that stuff to get into them so that somebody can access that stuff. Try to open an account here if you can. It's got harder. As a tourist, you just can't do it anymore unless you have a long-term visa.
Well, Mark, it's been amazing to sit down and talk with you. I thank you so much for just opening up and just opening up in friendship and reaching out to me originally. So I really appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Nice meeting you.
Yeah, and now I'm going to rent a motorbike from Expat Motorbike Rental. So come see him. And again, don't miss out on Vietnam. You will love it here, I promise. All right, here I am at Three Fat Guys. Just had a hankering for some Western food, so I'm gonna have a cheeseburger and fries. It was recommended to me today by my new friend Mark, who I sat down and did an interview with, and good prices. American food is usually more. Actually, this is only 100,000 dong, so that's $4 for a burger and a fries, and a Coke will probably be $1, so $5 for dinner. Anyways, we'll see how it stacks up, but yeah, either way, it's a win.